Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Interviews with Aurovilians. Today, Manoj is with us, and I know that Mother said only first names in Auroville, but there are many Manojes, so this is Manoj Pavitran. Manoj, how did you first hear of Sri Aurobindo and Mother?
That was in 1988 when I was doing my engineering studies and I was going through my personal crisis of meaning. Studies were not making sense and the world was not making sense, and then I was searching. And I had come across J. Krishnamurti and...
I met him. I met him in Chennai.
So that was one of the first... Yeah. Impactful reading. And that had a very powerful impact. But then it took me quite some time to realize that he just knocks you out of sleep, but he doesn't give any more details. Be in the present. So then it took me 1 year to realize that I was reading again and again more and more of his books, but I realized I have to find something else. So those days, one small book that was in Malayalam that came about Indian philosophers, visionaries, in which there was one page about Sri Aurobindo. And I saw the photograph. It was young Sri Aurobindo. And something resonated. It was in 88. And it stayed with me. And later, after my engineering studies, I was clueless what to do with my life. So
this was around 1990?
88.
88.
Yeah. 88. So I took 1 year off. Now what we call gap year. Those days this term was not there. So I convinced myself I'm preparing for higher studies, and I told my parents that I'm preparing for higher studies. In a way it is true, because a higher study, truly I was investigating what to do, what is the meaning and purpose of life.
They supported you?
They took me seriously that I am studying something. But I was reading Fritjof Capra, Tao of Physics, Zen and Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, all this Gary Zukov's book, Dancing Woolly Masters. So I was reading through all this. Then I came across Rajneesh. Then I came across Swami Vivekananda. Till that point, neither Krishnamurti or Fritjof Capra, all those books, they were pointing towards something of Eastern wisdom, but I did not know what are they talking Eastern wisdom. When I came across Swami Vivekananda, that really blew my mind. That gave me the vision, this is what the Eastern wisdom is, and these are the doorways to enter. So that gave me some clue. And so in 89, I came across one book exhibition where I saw books of Sri Aurobindo. Then I remembered Sri Aurobindo's name. And
that one page.
Yeah. And there was Savitri. And I took Savitri, opened, looked at it. It felt so sacred. And I realized that I am not ready to read something so pure, so sacred. And I looked for other books. And there was The Synthesis of Yoga. And I thought maybe this is the book. So I bought that book. So from 89 onwards, I started reading. And that was really like finding ocean. But I did not realize it at that time. Now when I look back, I see how it settled me in my...
How you were led also.
Right, how it was leading.
Yes.
And I continued reading. And then after some time, I bought Savitri. And I continued reading. And that kept me on path, or rather drew me into it. And then I got into actually further studies, postgraduate studies.
And what year is this now? What year are we in?
Sorry?
What year are you speaking about?
Again,
Savitri and...
89.
Oh, only in 1 year?
Yeah. So the same year, it was, I remember it was 20th February, I found Synthesis of Yoga and started reading 21st. Later realized it was Mother's birthday. I did not know anything about Mother. So it was really a gift from her. And I continued reading. Later, same year, I bought Savitri. Savitri was more like his presence. And I was also feeling those days, whether I'm going mad, because everybody else is doing their studies and taken up jobs, and I was sitting at home reading all this. And these confusions used to come. And sometimes the panic of fear gripping. And all those moments, to me, Savitri presence was the safety. So just take, open, read 1 or 2 pages, and you feel calm and safe. And I cannot say I understood, but I felt the peace and harmony entering their lights. Then I got admission for higher studies. And 89, I went to Ahmedabad.
To?
Ahmedabad, National Institute of Design, to do my postgraduate studies in product design. And there again, first thing I looked was, is there any books of Sri Aurobindo in the library? And there was not a single book. Within few months, I saw the collected works of Sri Aurobindo coming to the library, on the librarian's table. And I knew this is for me. And these were the little miracles, the way the grace works. You're being guided, and everything is arranged. And I felt more and more at home, and I went on studying. So on one side, I was reading, or rather studying design. On the other hand, immersing in Sri Aurobindo's teachings.
When did you first hear of Mother?
Mother, I came across, though I read the booklet, The Mother,
Yeah, but
early on, but I did not realize there was someone who was here. And it was in 92, first time I came to Pondicherry. And then I saw photographs. There is Mother and Sri Aurobindo. And I asked, who is this? And then I realized there is what Sri Aurobindo was referring. All her aspects, she was also present here physically. So it was a discovery for me after years. And then I heard also about Auroville.
oh, at that time in 92.
Heard the word Auroville. That word again stayed with me. I did not know what it was. And it was in Delhi ashram I came across Auroville. And that time I had finished my studies, postgraduate studies in industrial design.
Yeah,
And
MA.
it was a master's in product design. And I thought I should work for some time, earn some money, and get into my exploration further. So I took up a contract with a group of companies as a designer. I started working, but I realized I'm there for money, and it was not feeling good. And it was really putting me into depression. Because I just couldn't give myself to that work. But I had signed a contract for a year, and there was one more friend. Mm-hmm. So we had taken up projects. So I had to complete. But my soul was going somewhere else. So I was getting into depressions. And one of those days I visited Delhi Ashram. And in Delhi Ashram I came across a booklet. I came across a booklet on Auroville. Oh. There I saw the galaxy image, Auroville, and photographs of people in Auroville. And I felt, this is amazing.
And of course you were a designer, and when you saw the galaxy plan, must have been...
As a designer, and also the early days of Auroville, those beautiful huts, out of the world designs.
Keat and Casuarina.
Right.
I lived in them many years.
Yeah. Those designs are amazing. So as a designer and as a seeker, this was really magical.
So when did you join Auroville?
It took me again some more time to come to Auroville. I reached in 95. I had to go through what it means to disappoint my parents, because they had high expectations on me. And they were hoping that I get into the regular life, earn money and all that. Then I was called in another direction. I did not know now how do I present this to them.
Did you have to break away from your parents, or is there still something of a good relationship?
Now it's beautiful, but at that time it was difficult. And I knew I have to go in search of this, which they will not accept. Fortunately, what happened was there was a guru who belonged to one of the Kerala lineages, Sri Narayana Guru lineage, Guru Nitya Chaitanya Yadi, who visited our village. I grew up in a village in Kerala. So he visited our village. At that time, my father was visiting. And I had written an article about design in Economic Times. And my father happily showed my article to the Guru. And Guru read through it, and he wrote a nice little note, which father sent to me. I took this as an opportunity, God-given connection. Father introduced me to this Guru. So I told my father, I would like to go and stay with this Guru for some time. What he has written is beautiful, and I would like to really explore. He wasn't expecting that. But then he was the one who made the connection. Though it was very difficult for him and my mother, I insisted that I must explore this. Finally, they accepted, and I went to his ashram. That was in Ooty. I knew this is my transit camp. I eventually need to reach Auroville. But that's where, at that time, the possibility was. So I went and stayed in that ashram. I lived there as a member of the ashram for 10 months. That was beautiful. That also gave me the first-hand experience of what it means to live in a simple, small ashram with a guru, study Upanishads, cook food, feed people, and just study, be with the guru. And that was beautiful experience. And from there I came to Auroville. I visited, and very first visit I knew.
Very
first visit, I felt this is home. This is my home. And so I went back to the ashram to say goodbye and packed. And again, I went home, spent some time there. Then I came here in 95. That was really homecoming. Really, yeah.
Where did you first stay in Oroville?
The Matrimandir camp, at that time, the camp was there.
It was still there.
Right.
We began there. After Promise, we were the first in the camp.
Yeah, it was so
Jack
lovely.
and Mary, Mary Helen and myself. Piero and Gloria and Mary Helen and I had a place at Promise. And we moved from Promise to the
Camp.
camp. So you stayed there.
Yeah, I stayed there for 1 month. And it was so beautiful. Mandir right in front. And go there, meditate morning, evening, and lovely, quiet. That was my beginning over there. And I started working at CSR. Yeah, very first week itself. I was making brochures and...
Still working there?
No, that was first few years. And then I went into IT sector to develop Oroville's website and then to the intranet portal and things like that. I was not particularly looking for what is my particular talent, what I will do. Whatsoever work came my way, whatever things to be done, I just did. And IT was not my skill, but I taught myself and did that.
So let's fast forward a little bit and tell me from the present down 10 or 20, 15 years, what you were doing. Were you working always on the brochures for Oroville?
No. Now my focus is on education.
Okay.
That's the main work, which is supported by filmmaking. And I have made 4 films in a series called Evolution Fast Forward.
I've seen them. I've seen 3 of them.
Yeah, the 4th one was released on this 15th of August, The Spiritual History of India. That's the 4th. And plus I did 2 meditations on Sri Aurobindo's symbol, just music and visuals. So these are materials I prepared for education. First of all, I wanted to share what I have learned from Sri Aurobindo and Mother, and I found it's such a treasure we have, and how do we share it? That's how I started making. And also I came across many people saying that it's very difficult to read Sri Aurobindo. So I wanted to create a bridge and to bring in a visual language how to access Sri Aurobindo. So I was developing a visual vocabulary which is giving access to Sri Aurobindo's teachings. So these films carry certain visual vocabulary that was developed over the years. And so in education, so this is filmmaking supplements it. Then I'm also involved in, again, the IT part continued development of our community's intranet portal and public website. But I don't do any more IT. There are other people who takes care of it. I'm focusing more on education. And now, of late, I see the need for research. There is such a vast ocean of wisdom that is available.
Mother has given us so much on education, and Sri Aurobindo also.
Yeah.
I'd like to go a little deeper into it. Can you talk about the different ages of the children and the different schools in Oroville?
I am not much in touch with Oroville schools. I'm focusing on education for people above 18. Above 18.
Above 18.
Yes.
I see.
So we started with the program called Swadharma. That is to help young people to find their true calling. And this emerged in the context of large number of young people coming to Auroville in search of their calling. And Auroville provides an immense diversity, and it's a very rich environment where they can find their creative expression. But there wasn't anything structured and facilitated learning to accelerate their growth process. Also, I realized from the age 21 to age 30, when I discovered Auroville, it was a long journey of finding your own way, navigating through all kinds of confusions. And I realized if there was right support systems, good facilitation, that time can be reduced. Youth can find their right place. If
Do you work with them personally now, the young people?
Yes. So we started the course in 2016, and we were taking roughly around 15 people per batch, and they will come to Auroville and stay there for 5 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah. And we did 2 batches per year, and that way we continued. And then these youngsters started joining Auroville. Now these youngsters are running the programs, and now they have taken up completely. So it has developed into now what we are referring to as the Purnam community. So we have formed a formal entity called Purnam, Center for Integrality, and primarily managed by young people who came through the program, and they design new courses all based on Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So what we have found is that there is a lot of knowledge, but when it comes to practice and putting into daily life applications, there is a gap. And individually, people are struggling to put things into practice. But when we formed small groups to practice, come together and practice together, that was helping people to stick to a practice, whatsoever they wanted to practice. So we started calling it Purnam Labs. We have practice labs. Around 30 labs are there where various practices, whether it is journal writing, concentration practice, or meditation, or connecting with nature, or Savitri painting, or all kinds of courses now available. And people come together, practice together. So the aspect of community, the learning community, practicing together, learning from each other, peer-to-peer learning. And theory, there is plenty available. So we minimize the theory. Take one quote from Mother and Sri Aurobindo, see how do you apply it? Or take one word like sincerity, work with it for a month, 2 months, and see how do you apply it. And then when you feel like reading, you read. And also see how to read, taking one paragraph and dwelling on it, going deeper, deeper. All this emerged. And so this is emerging more like a community, a learning community, focusing on Mother and Sri Aurobindo and applying it in daily life context. So this is where the focus is, and it's very fulfilling to see young people who are so sincere, deeply committed.
Do you still get a good number of people joining each year?
Yes. Now, Swadharma, we had to stop when the COVID came.
Of course, yes.
And then we did an online version of it. Now, this coming January, February, we are relaunching it as an online course. And most of our courses are now online. But practice-based online courses, wherever they are, people practice, come together to share and learn from each other. So even Swadharma has moved online, and courses are now more like starting points. They open them up to the possibilities. After the course, volunteering opportunities are there. So through volunteering, through Karma Yoga, you learn and internalize. So in actual work, while taking up responsibilities, that's where you encounter human nature. And then you go back to theory, study, and apply in the actual living conditions. Through that, people learn. So the formal courses, whether it is 4-week or 5-week, they act like an entry point. Real journey begins after. And so volunteers come together, learn together, work together on various projects. They prepare the materials. And for the next batch of students, so students create materials for coming students, and we build on it. And through that, they learn. And through that, eventually, slowly come to Auroville. And those who are interested in Auroville come here and join. So we have now more youngsters coming to join Auroville through the process.
How do you feel about the entry group's attitude towards newcomers?
Financially,
it
it is
anything truly negative. I don't allow any negativity in our interviews, but certainly you have a voice to share what you'd like.
I have seen when people come with that touch, when the psychic is in front, everything works out very smooth. But when there is a little bit of anxiety or the mental approaches, all that, fears, all that come into the picture, it gets entangled. On the other side, Auroville's processes are also not easy and financially very demanding for young people who have not earned. So that's a big bottleneck in the process. Financially, it is not very affordable to young people.
True.
So that is one of the biggest challenges, and housing shortage. So the financial difficulty, housing shortage, these two makes entry process very difficult. Otherwise, it's good to have that period of, say, 1 year where you test your resolve and get out of the romantic notions about community life and to see whether it is really your place. So that way it is good. Of course, ideally it can be made much more smoother, easier for those who are coming, psychologically more comfortable, financially more affordable. There is a lot to improve.
Because housing is a big concern right now.
Right. Housing is a big concern, big limitation.
How do we go about the galaxy concept? Building flats, I guess it would be, not individual houses?
Yeah, the era of individual houses are over. The early years when pioneers were to settle in different places and protect the land, there was all those possibilities. But now it's a time to build that concentrated, high-density living in harmony with nature.
Yes.
So obviously, high-rise apartment systems, communities are to emerge. It is already emerging. It is already there, but that is the future. The city and high-density living is the future where per person consumption can be minimized, transportation can be reduced, and all that. So that that is the churning that is going on
Yes,
at this point of time.
And I see so many restaurants and approaching the entry of Oroville, but is Portus the best way, you feel, of distributing food?
The way the new Portus has emerged is one of the best I have seen so far. It emerged out of many experiments. And the current one finds the right balance between accountability and freedom of choice. So there is a lot to do in terms of producing what is required for the community and distributing that in the right way. So there are both the ends. One is at the production level, the food itself, or other requirements for the community. There are steady efforts going on, replacing what we buy from outside with what we can produce internally.
Yes.
Then only an internal economy can truly emerge, when internal production happens, and then there is a distribution and consumption that is happening. All this requires, again, more people and a lot of systems and processes that are transparent, simple, easy to do. So people with the ability to design these systems and processes and tools are required. There is a huge demand for that and transparent processes and systems.
Yes, yes. How do you feel the work of the lake and the channel of the Matrimandir are going? You have seen some of it, I'm sure.
Yes, it was a lovely surprise to see even if it is a small channel, that water body around makes such a big difference.
Doesn't it, though? Yes.
Yes, it is amazing. And it took very little time to make that channel. The very presence of clear water is an element. It adds so much to the tenderness of that space. And holding that sacred space, the peace area. So I can imagine if the whole lake comes all around, what a precious, sacred space it will be.
Are you teaching any students any books of Sri Aurobindo?
We don't really teach books as such. We, in a way, only point towards what is the current challenge you're facing. We start with that. What is the living problem that you have? You have problem of anger, you have problem of lack of concentration, you have issue of fear. What is troubling you? And then, if you want to work on anger, let's look at what did Mother say about anger, what did Sri Aurobindo say about anger. So either they themselves compile, so making a compilation. We also train people how to make a compilation systematically. Or use some existing compilation. Out of that compilation, you make a short video based on your own experience.
Oh.
So something like a 4-week course on take a subject, study it thoroughly, observe yourself, apply it, and out of that, make a short video. So
interesting.
they learn. So we don't teach in that sense.
In that sense,
Yeah,
yes.
we provide conditions, guide, and they learn directly. And they learn from each other. So we have...
Mother spoke about this, about subjects.
Yeah. So we go by subjects and we create learning groups. So they come together, whoever is learning a specific subject, they come together and they share codes, share observations among themselves, and that amplifies the learning. So their original insights. So there is no experts giving knowledge to them. They do the investigation, they do the study, they observe, they articulate. So in their own experience, their own words. And that's the approach we are taking.
Well, this has been a wonderful time to share with you. But thank you, Manoj. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And namaste, all.
Thank you.